Thanks for joining us for another Kickstarter conniption. Today we're looking at Open Oceans from Featherstone Games.
As always, we want to make you aware that our Kickstarter conniption videos are sponsored in part by our Kickstarter backers and by the creators of this game. Hey guys, and thanks for joining us yet again at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sarah Meadows, and today we're looking at Open Ocean from Featherstone Games. It's designed and illustrated by Joel Bodkin.
This is a card drafting tableau building game for 2 to 5 players. It takes about 30 minutes to play. Featherstone Games was kind enough to send us a prototype copy to check out, so let's take a look at how it's played.
To set up the game, have each player choose a starter reef. Then give each player a player aid and give the player who most recently saw a fish the first player card. Then Typhoon shuffle the deck before dealing each player a hand of 6 cards.
Create the open ocean by laying out 8 cards around the draw deck, and then you're ready to begin.
Each turn, all the players will select 1 card from their hand and place it face down on the table. Once everyone has selected a card, they'll be revealed, starting with the first player, and players will add their cards to their reef and resolve any actions associated with their card.
Icons in the top left show how cards can be connected and how many points they will be worth at the end of the game. Icons in the bottom right indicate which type of cards can immediately be pulled from the ocean if they're available.
Small fish will always attract medium-sized fish, and medium-sized fish will always attract large.
Once all players have added their card to their reef, players pass their deck of cards to the player on their left and will draft another card.
There are a number of special cards in the deck that allow players to do things like eat other players' fish or swap them out, steal a card from the open ocean, or refresh all the cards in the ocean, or protect their cards from being stolen.
Players continue drafting cards until they have added 5 cards to their reef. They discard the last card and then deal a new hand of 6 cards and continue for 2 more rounds.
At the end of the 3rd round, the player with the most valuable collection of cards in their reef wins.
In Open Oceans, players are attempting to build out a giant coral reef teeming with all kinds of different life forms. Players will score a bunch of different points based on the way that they're able to arrange all their cards, and each time they play a card to their tableau, if they play their cards right, they should be able to pull something from the open ocean to add to their reef.
Everyone starts with a starter piece of coral. It sits on the bottom of the ocean floor, so you won't be able to play any cards below that, but you'll be building your reef out up and outward from that starter coral. There are ways to position certain cards, so some cards can be played anywhere around other cards, and other ones will need to be played in a certain location.
If you can play a fish to your pile that will draw or attract another card from the ocean, you get to immediately do that on your turn. So there's a lot of strategy in determining which card to play to the board, kind of based on your turn order, so that you can see what is out and available in the ocean. Other cards in the deck besides the fish allow you to do things like the shark allows you to steal cards from other players. The dolphin allows you to swap and give them a dolphin and take one of theirs. The turtle refreshes all the cards that are out in the ocean. And so sometimes you get there and there's a bunch of cards that you don't need out in the ocean. So you might be hoping for that turtle to be able to refresh and take a card. So timing plays a lot of the thinkiness in the game. And then because you've got a good amount of hand of options to start off with, as you get down to those fewer cards, obviously you kind of just make lemonade out of lemons. Sometimes you got to hope for the best things. So a little bit of luck, plenty of strategy, a lot of really good options in the game.
Yeah, and when you're planning out where to place things in your reef, there are some ways to score points based on where it's located. So chaining coral together can give you some different points. There are anemone that you can add that will allow your fish to hide in it, so the spaces around the anemone are protected from things like sharks coming and attacking. And then you can also get bonus points for having schools of the same fish next to one another, which is a little difficult to do because when you add a small fish to your reef, you can immediately add a medium-sized fish that's going to be attracted because they like to eat those kind. So you can add one from the open ocean if there's one available. So planning out how you're going to be adding cards and placing them in just the right place to get the most points at the end of the game.
Yeah, so there are lots of bonus points. There's also additional habitat modules that you can play with, like extra goal cards, basically, that kind of up the complexity, give you additional goals. You can play those as either communal goals that everybody shares, or you can play it where you have your own private goals, which is kind of cool. And so you might be trying to like pair an anemone and a clownfish together to get bonus points at the end of the game, and if you can do that, you'll get more. So a lot of different ways to kind of try to earn points in the game.
Yeah, Joel sent us some extra mini modules that are educational to go with the game. I'll be interested to see if any of these are available with the Kickstarter. There were plenty of resources on the sheets that allow you to teach your kids more about the ocean reefs and the animals and wildlife that live there.
Yeah, interesting marine life facts and info stuff. Really enjoyed the illustration style for the game. Thought it was very fresh and bright and fun. Came packaged with a nice little magnet clasp. I'm not sure what the final Kickstarter will look like, but components seem sharp in the prototype. I assume they'll only be better in the finished piece. So if it looks like something that you might be interested in, be sure to check out Open Oceans right now on Kickstarter. And then, as always, thanks so much for following, liking, and following along here at Tantrum House. Following and following along and following and following.
But at least we're not seeing
Keep
our
following us
subscriptions
at
in the
Tantrum
comments.
And dolphins and tortoises. Tortoises?
Sea turtles.
Sea turtles. Got it this time. I'm ready.